Daf Yomi. Tractate Menachos. Page 99b. Top of the page with the words, actually we'll start in 99a. There was a siman, it's a mnemonic. The siman is Bitel, Sarach, V'Shachach. The Gemara notes a mnemonic for the following three statements of Reish Lakish, which are all related to the concept stated by Rav Yosef, one who causes dereliction, that's Bitel, of the study of Torah for the sake of a mitzvah, the Torah scholar who sinned, Sarach, and a Torah scholar who forgot his studies, Shachach. Reish Lakish, Pamim. Reish Lakish says sometimes. Now we turn to 99b, top of the page. Shebitla shel Torah, zehu yisoda. Tichsiv asher shibarta, amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu, leMoshe, yashar kochacha sheshibarta. This is also in Tractate Shabbat, as I remember it. The apparent dereliction of study Torah is its foundation. For example, if one breaks off his studies in order to participate in a funeral or a wedding procession, this is derived from a verse as it is written, and the Lord said to Moses, hew for yourself 2 tablets of stone, like the first, and I will write upon the tablets the words that were on the first tablets which you broke. Asher shivarta, which you broke. Exodus 34 verse 1. The word Asher is an allusion to the fact that the Holy One, blessed be He, said to Moses, your strength is true. Yasher kochacha. Yashar kochacha. And that's where we get the word Yashar koach from. The word Asher is an allusion to the fact that the Holy One, blessed be, said to Moses, your strength is true. Yashar kochacha. In that you broke the tablets, as breaking of the first tablets led to the foundation of the Torah through the giving of the second tablets. Amar Reish Lakish, Talmud Chacham Shesarach, Ein Mivazin Oso B'Farhesia, Shneimar, V'chashalta Hayom, V'chashal Gam Navi Imcha Laila, Kiseu Kalayla. And Reish Lakish says, with regard to a Torah scholar who sinned, he is not disgraced in public. As it is stated, therefore you shall stumble in the day, and the prophet also shall stumble with you in the night. Hosea 4 verse 5. Interesting. Therefore you shall stumble in the day, and the prophet also shall stumble with you in the night. Hosea 4:5. One can derive from the verse that if a prophet or any other Torah scholar stumbles and sins, one should conceal his offense like the night and not punish him in public. Reish Lakish kol hamshakeach davar echad mitalmudo over belav shneimar v'yishaver lecha u'shmor nafshecha ben mi'od pen tishkach es ha'devarim v'ken Rabbi Avin Amar Rabbi Ilah Damar Rabbi Avin Amar Rabbi Ilah kol makom shneimar hishamer pen ve'al einu ela lo taseh. And Reish Lakish says, anyone who causes himself to forget even one matter from his studies violates a prohibition, as it is stated with regard to the receiving of the Torah on Mount Sinai. Only observe for yourself and guard your soul diligently, lest you forget the matters that your eyes saw, and lest they depart from your heart all the days of your life. But you should make them known to your children and to your children's children. Deuteronomy 4, verse 9. And this is in accordance with the principle that Rabbi Avin says, that Rabbi Ilah says, as Rabbi Avin says, that Rabbi Ilah says, Wherever it is stated, observe, or lest, or do not, it is nothing other than a prohibition. Ravina Amar, Hi Shamer Ben Shnei Lavin Ninhu. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Amar, Bishlosha Lavin, Shenemar Hishamer Lecha, Hu Shimon Nafshecha Miyod, Pen Tishkach Et HaDivarim. Ravina says, one who forgets his studies violates two prohibitions, as the verse uses both the term observe and the term lest. And these are two prohibitions. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak says he violates three prohibitions as it is stated. Only observe for yourself and guard your soul diligently, lest you forget the matters that your eyes saw. The term guard your soul is derived from the same root as observe and is considered an additional prohibition. Ay, 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 ay. Yachal v'il machmas oinsoi. Tam lomar pen yesu milvavecha. B'msira milvav libo. Hakatu medaber. Rabbi Dostai berabbi Yanai Omar. Yachal afilu takva alav mishnato. Tam lomar rak. The Gemara qualifies this statement. One might have thought this applies even to one who forgot his Torah knowledge due to circumstances beyond his control. Therefore, the verse states, unless they depart from your heart. This indicates that the verse is speaking of one who willingly causes them to depart from his heart. Rabbi Dostai, son of Rabbi Yanai, says, one might have thought that this applies even if his studies were too hard for him to remember. Therefore, the verse states only, which excludes one who is unable to recall his studies. Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Elazar, Tavayu Toira, Nidna be'arbaim, Unishama notzra be'arbaim, Kol ha'mishama Toirosoi, Nishmosoi mishtameres. B'chol she'eino mishamer es Toirosoi, Ein nishmosoi mishtameres. From Yochanan and Rabbi Elazar both say that the Torah was given in 40 days when Moses ascended to Mount Sinai to receive it. Torah nitna be'arbaim. Interesting. Torah nitna be'arbaim. That's a good one. That's part of the, yeah. Hold on. Torah nitna be'arbaim. Lai, 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 lai. Torah nitna be'arbaim equals 1451. Okay. It's fine. Torah nitna be'arbaim. Ay, 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 ay. Menachot 99b. 1451. Menachot 99b. Okay. Let's continue. And not only is Torah given 40 days, Unishama notzra be'arbaim. Similarly, the soul of a man is formed in 40 days, as the formation of the fetus in the womb takes 40 days from the time of conception. This teaches that anyone who preserves his Torah studies, his soul is likewise preserved, and anyone who does not preserve his Torah studies, his soul is not preserved either. Tananduve Rabbi Ishmael, Nishama Notzra. No, I'll look at the gematria just for Torah Nitna Be'arbaim is 1451, and Nishama Notzra Be'arbaim is 1071. These are important things. Okay. Menachot 99b. Okay. Alright, let's continue. Oh yeah, we did it already. Okay, where are we holding? Tanu Ishmael Moshal V'Odom. Shimasa tzipo dror leavdo amar kimdume ata she'im ata me'abda she'ani notel mimcha isar bidameha nishmatcha ani notel mimcha. The school of Rabbi Yishmael taught this can be illustrated by a parable, as it is comparable, the parable, as it is comparable to a person who delivered a sparrow to his slave for safekeeping, and said to him, "Are you under the impression that if you lose it, I will take from you an isar, a small coin, which is the value of the bird?" What happened here is comparable to a person who delivered a sparrow to his slave for safekeeping, and he said to him, "Are you under the impression that if you lose it, I will take from you an isra, a small coin, which is the value of the bird?" It is not so. I will take your soul from you as a punishment, meaning I will kill you. Similarly, one who fails to preserve the Torah entrusted him will be severely punished. Okay. I don't think that's very common, but it's a parable, so. Now we're starting a new Mishnah. Shnei shulchanos hayu be'ulam mipiknim al petach habayis echad shel shaish ve'echad shel zahav al shel shaish noistim lechem aponim nichnisasoi ve'azohov v'yizyasoi. There were two tables in the entrance hall on the inside of the entrance hall next to the entrance of the temple, meaning next to the entrance of the sanctuary. One was of marble and one was of gold. On the table of marble, the priest placed the new showbread that has been baked before its entrance into the sanctuary, so that the loaves may cool a little from the heat of the oven and not spoil. And when the old showbread is removed from the showbread table, it is placed on the table of gold upon his exit from the sanctuary, where it remains until the frankincense is burned on the altar. The reason the showbread is placed on a gold table when it is removed rather than on a marble or silver table is that one elevates to a higher level in matters of sanctity, and one does not downgrade since it is set on the gold showbread table all week. It cannot be downgraded to a marble or silver table upon its removal. And there was one table of gold within the sanctuary upon which the showbread is always found. Okay, brief break here. Okay, where were we? Okay, the Arba Kohanim. Be'arba Kohanim nishnasim shneim biyadam shnei starim shnei biyadam u'shnayim biyadam shnei bazichim ve'arba magdim lifneihem shnayim litol shnei sidarim u'shnayim litol shnei bazichim. The Mishnah describes the manner in which it is ensured that the showbread is constantly on the table. And 4 priests enter, 2 with the 2 arrangements of the new showbread in their hands, and 2 with the 2 bowls of frankincense in their hands. And 4 priests precede them, entering the sanctuary before them, 2 to take the 2 arrangements of the old showbread from the table, and 2 to take the 2 bowls of frankincense. המכניסים עומדים מצפון ופניהם לדרום, והמוציאים עומדים מדרום ופניהם מצפון, אלו מושכים ואלו מניחים וטבחו של זה כנגד טבחו של זה, שנאמר לפני תמיד. Those bringing the new showbread into the sanctuary stand in the north, and their faces are to the south. And those removing the old showbread stand in the south, and their faces are to the north. These priests draw the old showbread from the table, and those priests place the new showbread on the table, and for each handbreadth. of this old showbread that is removed from the table, a handbreadth of that new showbread is placed upon the table, so that the table is never without loaves upon it, as it is stated, and you shall sit upon the table showbread before me always. Exodus 25:30. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Afinu elu notin ve'elu manichin al pi ha'isa tamid. Rabbi Yossi says, even if these priests were to remove the showbread from the table entirely, and only afterward those priests were to place the new showbread upon the table, this too would fulfill the requirement that the showbread always be on the table. It is unnecessary to ensure the uninterrupted presence of the showbread upon the table as long as it does not remain a single night without showbread upon it. Yatsu unsanu al shulchan zahav shehaya be'ulam hiktiru habazichin v'achalois mischalkos lakohanim. The Mishnah describes the manner in which the showbread is distributed. The priests who carried the old showbread loaves came out of the sanctuary and placed them on the table of gold that was in the entrance hall. The priests then burned on the altar the frankincense that was in the bowls, and the loaves were subsequently distributed to the priests. This occurred on Shabbat, the day that the priestly watch that served in the temple during the preceding week was replaced by the priestly watch that would serve during the following week. The showbread was distributed to the priests of both watches. Chal Yom Kippurim lios b'Shabbos, hachalois mischalkelois la'erev. Chal lios b'erev Shabbos, so'ir shel Yom Kippurim necha la'erev, so'ir shel Yom Kippurim necha la'erev, v'habavliim oichlin oso keshu chai mipnei shedatan yafeh. If Yom Kippur occurs on Shabbat, the loaves are distributed at night, and at the conclusion of the fast, since they may not be eaten during the day. If Yom Kippur occurs on Friday, meaning when the holy day begins on Thursday evening, the goat sin offering of Yom Kippur is eaten by the priest at night, meaning on Friday night, as it may be eaten only on the day that it is sacrificed, or during the following night until midnight. And since there is no possibility of cooking the meat, as one may not cook on Yom Kippur or Shabbat, the Babylonians, meaning the priests who had emigrated from Babylonia, eat it when it is raw, due to the fact that they are broad-minded with regards to their food, meaning they're not particular and they will eat meat even when it is not cooked. Okay, that's the Mishnah. Now for the Talmud. Zog the Talmud. Tanya, it says, the Talmud says, Tanya, Rabbi Yossi Omer, Afilu Sirikas Yeshana, Shacharis V'Sidar, Chadash Arvis, Ein Mekach Klum, Elamadi Mekayem Lefanai Tamid, Shelo Yalin Shulchan Belo Lechem. The Mishnah teaches that according to Rabbi Yossi, even if the priest first removes the old showbread entirely, and only then places the new showbread upon the table, this fulfills the requirement that the showbread always be on the table. Moreover, it is taught in a brayta that Rabbi Yossi says, even if the priest remove the old showbread on the morning of Shabbat and arrange the new showbread toward the evening, there is nothing wrong with that. Rather, how do I realize the meaning of the verse, and you shall set upon the table showbread before me always, Exodus 25:30? This means that the table should not be left overnight without bread upon it. Amar Rabbi Ami, mi devarav shel Rabbi Yossi nilmod, afilu lo yishno adam ela perek echad shachris uperek echad arvis ki em mitzvas lo yamush es sefer haTorah zeh mipicho. The Brisa teaches that, according to Rabbi Yossi, even if the old showbread remained on the table for a short while in the morning, and the new showbread was placed on the table toward the evening, and even though it did not reside constantly on the table, this fulfills the requirement that the showbread should always be on the table Rabbi Ami says, from Rabbi Yossi's statement, we may learn that even if a person learned only one chapter of the Mishnah in the morning and one chapter of the Mishnah in the evening, he has thereby fulfilled the mitzvah of this Torah scroll shall not depart from your mouth, and you shall contemplate in it day and night, that you may take heed to do all that is written therein. For then you shall make your ways prosperous, and then you shall have good success. Joshua 1:8. Amar Rabbi Yochanan mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, afilu lo ikra damer kriyas shma shacharis v'arvis ki hem lo yamush v'davar ze asur yamru b'fnei amei ha'aretz v'rava amar mitzvah lo amru b'fnei ha'aretz. Rabbi Yochanan says in the name of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, even if a person recited only the recitation of the Shema in the morning and in the evening, he has fulfilled the mitzvah of this Torah scroll shall not depart from your mouth. And it is prohibited to state this matter in the presence of ignoramuses, as they are likely to get the impression that there is no need to study Torah beyond this. And Rava says, on the contrary, it is a mitzvah to state this matter in the presence of ignoramuses, as they will realize that if merely reciting Shema leads to such a great reward, all the more so, how great is the reward of those who study Torah all day and all night. That's an interesting reason, but I thought there would be another reason, which is probably not important, but I'll say it anyway. It's not important because it wasn't stated in the Gemara, but it's important in the sense that it could be a reason. That if the Am Haaretz, if they're not going to learn Torah, right, and all they're going to do is say Shema, so if you tell them that you fulfilled the mitzvah, then they'll have the intention that they're fulfilling the mitzvah. I don't know if we actually in the end say mitzvah strichas kavana, but I think we do actually, but I could be mistaken. Maybe it depends where and when, but in this case, an Am Haaretz is not likely, just doesn't like to study that much. So it's not necessary. It's not mukhrach. It's not hechrach. It's not forced to be. It's not, for sure has to be that he's going to study. It's not going to compel him to study. Ignoramuses don't like to study. But if they know that Shema is fulfilling an obligation, then at least they'll focus on that and saying, now they become the mitzvah. You're making them aware of their mitzvah, and thereby they're probably fulfilling that mitzvah in a greater way. That's another reason. I thought Rav was going to say that, but he says that they'll be inspired to learn more. But maybe that will work for some. But I think if someone's an ignoramus, it's not because of anything other than he just doesn't like to learn. They weren't brought up learning, but once they see what it is, then they're drawn to it. But sometimes they just don't like to learn. Anyway, maybe some do though. Okay, Shal ben Dama ben Achlayt Shal Rabbi Ishmael. Es Rabbi Ishmael, כגון אני שלימדתי כל התורה כולה, מהו ללמוד חכמה סיבוניס. כל העולם נקרא זה, לא ימוש ספר תורה זה מפיך, והגית בו יום ולילה. צא ובדוק שעה שאינו לו מן היום ולא מן הלילה, וללמוד בו חכמה סיבוניס. Ben Dama, the son of Rabbi Ishmael's sister, asked Rabbi Ishmael, in the case of one such as I, who learned the entire Torah, what is the halacha with regard to studying Greek wisdom? Rabbi Ishmael recited this verse about him. This Torah scroll shall not depart from your mouth, and you shall contemplate in it day and night. Go and search for an hour that is neither part of the day and not part of the night, and learn Greek wisdom in it. So maybe banish mashas. Maybe like, during twilight. It's not day, it's not night. It's like right in between. Upligi Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani. Amar Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani. Amar Rabbi Yonatan. Pasuk ze. Eino lo chova v'lo mitzvah. Eno bracha. Ra'a Chadash Baruch Hu. את יהושע שדברי תורה חביבים עליו ביותר. This reminds me of a song. אשריכם תלמידי חכמים שדברי תורה חביבים עליו ביותר. Is that in Menachos or is that in Zvachim? I think it's Menachos. שדברי תורה חביבין עליו ביותר, שנאמר ומשאר עשה יהושע בן נונה לא ימיש מתוך האוהל. אמר לו הקדוש ברוך הוא יהושע, כל כך חביבין עליך דברי תורה, לא ימוש ספר תורה הזה מפיך. The Gemara notes in this statement Rabbi Yishmael disagrees with the opinion of Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani, as Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani says and Rabbi Yonatan says, this verse is neither an obligation nor a mitzvah, but a blessing. Rabbi Yonatan explains, the Holy One, blessed be He, saw Joshua and observed that the words of Torah were very precious to him. And as it is stated, and the Lord spoke to Moses face to face, and his servant Joshua, son of Nun, the young man, did not part from the tent. Exodus 33:11. The Holy One, blessed be He, said to Joshua, Joshua, are the words of Torah so precious to you? I bless you that this Torah scroll shall not depart from your mouth. Tanudvei Rabbi Yishmael, divrei Torah lo yehu alecha chova, v'yeta rashai liftor asmecha mehen. The Tana of the school of Rabbi Yishmael teaches the words of Torah should not be considered as an obligation upon you, meaning that one should not treat Torah as a burden, but at the same time you are not permitted to exempt yourself from them. Amar Chizkiah, my dichtiv, v'af hisitcha, mi pitzar rachav v'lo mutzak tachteha, bo urei, shelo k'midas HaKadosh Baruch Hu, midas basor v'dom. Midas basor v'dom, Adonai sises chaveiro midarchei chaim midarchei miso. HaKadosh Baruch Hu mesises Adon midarchei miso ledarchei chaim. Shiremar ve'af hesitcha epitzar migehenom shepiatzar she'ashena tzavur. Chizkiah said, what is the meaning of that which is written? He delivers the afflicted due to his affliction and opens their ear by tribulation, and he has allured you out of the narrow opening to a broad place without confines below it, and that which is set on your table is full of fatness. Job 36:15 and 16. Come and see that the attribute of flesh and blood is unlike the attribute of the Holy One, blessed be He. The attribute of flesh and blood is that a person allures another from the paths of life to the paths of death. But the Holy One, blessed be He, allures the person from the paths of death to the paths of life, as it is stated. And also, He has allured you out of a narrow opening, meaning from Gehenna, the opening of which is narrow, so that its smoke is collected. Okay, to be continued.